Hey there, comic book friends. I'm Travis, and it's time for another edition of Monster Comics Reviews. This is for comics for the January 22nd, I believe, the third week of January 2014. Let's get right into it. Animal Man, issue number 27. Great issue. We get to see Animal Man really taking charge. He's got this new kind of source of power. He's not tied directly to the Red, or he is, but in an indirect way with this alien that he had encountered in the last issue. Lets him just go to town, fighting against the final rogue totem that has taken over the Red, and it's really cool. It's kind of, I think, to some degree, it's giving us a glimpse of the power base that Animal Man is going to have going forward when he moves out of his own book and moves into the Justice League United. And so that's really cool. And of course, we're getting this continued quarrel with Maxine trying to hide from Brother Blood, and that's coming to a head in here. And then you have poor Ellen, Buddy's wife, who's been left behind at the Oscars, had to deal with these crazy questions, these horrible questions like, you know, was Maxine and Cliff, were they just actors? They aren't really your children and stuff like that. I mean, she ends up punching somebody in the face, ends up going to jail over it. And so you got all these things going on. The greatest thing about this book is the family base of it. The family's important, and the family's in trouble right now. And I'm really curious to see how this book is going to end and what Buddy Baker's going to be like as a character going out of this book, because I don't see a graceful way for this to end where it's not going to be bad in some sense. I mean, he's sworn to kind of give up the whole Animal Man thing if he gets this stuff all taken care of. And obviously, he doesn't do that, so he doesn't square it off because he's going to be going forward and other stuff. So are we going to see that kind of story being told in the Justice League United? I'm looking forward to seeing. I plan on getting that book. But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how this all gets tied up. I think we got a couple more issues, and this is all done. But really, really been enjoying it. These last issues have been very good. It's telling a piece of story in a superhero comic book that most other things aren't telling. And that's one of the things that makes it great. That whole family, clinch of it. It's really interesting. Batman, issue number 27. I'm really liking the book. I think this book ties in a bunch of stuff. It lets us further know what kind of a man Gordon is and what he's had to deal with and all of that, and how these different things impact and stuff. I'm looking forward to the end of this whole kind of tying up a lot of this 0 year stuff. Just because I want to have the satisfaction of getting the whole thing going. Yes. Because like I said, as a whole, I've really been enjoying it. I will say this is kind of a crap cover. I almost wish they would get a cover artist for Batman. Besides Capullo. Somebody that's what their job was to do covers. That would be cool. Let Capullo concentrate on the inside while we get some interesting dynamic covers on the outside. But like I said, still really enjoying the book. I think this ties up a lot of stuff that people were squawking about in the last around the last book. I think maybe not. Obviously, people in the comments will tell me if I'm wrong or right about that. But anyway, still really enjoying this. Looking forward to the whole thing being done so we can discuss it as a large thing. Then again, who knows? Maybe people won't want to discuss with me because we've already talked about it too much. Batwoman, issue number 27. This is the second issue of our new creator group. They get a little bit of help in this one with Francis Manipool does some of the art in it. There's this big long hallucinatory scene after she's been poisoned by Wolf Spider. She kind of hallucinates. All kinds of crazy stuff's happen. We get this montage of stuff that feels like an hallucination, dreamy kind of stuff we've seen J.H. Williams do in the past, but a little different style. the pictures in themselves are interesting and whatnot, but it takes up most of the comic, and I don't see what the point was. It felt like, oh crap, we don't have enough story to fill in a whole book here. Let's fill it out. Let's bring Francis Manapul in. Let's just knock out some pretty awesome looking panels and say, oh look, it's a story. It's kind of what it felt like to me. So that's my criticism about it. You know, initially this whole story is something to be told in any book. We had this whole big dream hallucination sequence and whatnot. Some of it was really cool, but I don't know that there was any value in there. I don't know that we learned anything or it provided us anything or was provocative or thoughtful or anything like that, really. Interesting how this ends, though. Ends with her kind of dragging herself back home, and we get to see Maggie Sawyer's daughter for the first time. And there's some exposure going on here that's going to be really interesting. Excited by that because Mark Andreyko, the writer, is an excellent secondary character writer. He writes them to where they are so interesting you almost don't care about the primary character, which I'm okay with. If he's going to make the supporting cast really exciting, I'm all for that. I think we'll have a completely different story, which we have to accept out of Batwoman. We're going to get a completely different story now. It's different people, so it's going to be different. But that could be really cool, and so I have a little bit of hope for it. For that, so I'm excited by that. A little bit of exposure that happens at the end of this book, that we might see something interesting, dynamic, and complex come out of what's there. Hopefully it doesn't just get blown off. So we'll see. Next up, Captain Marvel issue 15. Yeah, okay issue. Had more to do with them talking Nuke down, trying to explain to him that he's kind of become a bad guy, and they don't blame him, they blame his handlers, the people who have manipulated him. Trying to talk that through, and talking about the fact that they've kind of sullied Captain America's name, and of course the Falcon's got his own issues with having let this reporter leak a bunch of pictures and stuff, so there's this political stuff going on that potentially could be there. This wasn't really that interesting of a story, though. I really much preferred Captain America when he was in this Dimension Z and he was struggling and all of that, which I know some of the Captain America fans didn't really care for that, but I thought that was interesting. It was something felt different. Looking forward to the next issue, though. The next issue looks to be Jet Black centric. I really am digging that character. She's cool. I'd like to see more of her. What is she doing now that she's out of Dimension Z and she's in this reality, living with Captain America? How does that all work? And what's coming next? I'm kind of waiting for the next dynamic thing to happen in Captain America. If I don't get that soon, this book could end up on a chopping block just because it's moving more into the typical Captain America, which is the whole Patriot thing. Not that I'm not Patriot per se, but it's not my cup of tea. It's not my thing. And so there's got to be something else to it for it to hold the interest. But it's not a bad book. But like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing what Jet Black has to do and what kind of dynamics we can get going. Harley Quinn, issue number 2. I'm still really... First, cuter than cute cover. I'm still really enjoying the book. It's fun. It's not necessarily multi-layered, but it's really fun to read. It's whimsical despite its violence. There's some funny moments in it. Some of them maybe have taken a little too far, but still as a whole, it's just fun. And as long as it stays fun, I'm going to read it. It's one of DC's few fun books. So yeah, I mean, maybe it's a little thin on complexity of plot. We've got a couple things going. She's trying to maintain a couple jobs, and somebody's put a mark out to kill her. So there's both those things. I mean, but yeah, just really enjoyed it. Really fun and great art. Say it's about the art in this. If nothing else, the art is fabulous because Harding really knows how to, Chad Harding, I believe is his name, really knows how to draw faces. So you can tell what the people's emotions are just by looking at the faces. I mean, there are so many different facial expressions in just this single issue that Harley exhibits that even if we didn't have the dialogue, know what's going on. We know when she's happy, we know when she's sad, we know when she's surprised, we know when she's irritated, when, you know, she's found something humorous. All those different layers are there, and for me, that makes an awesome artist. You can get those close-up, those face shots where they're, you know, it's talking heads or whatever, but it's dynamic talking heads because of all these layers of expression. So kudos to the artist for that. Really makes it a good book for that. Hawkeye issue number 16. Of course, I'll talk like everybody else did. No, I didn't skip 15. 15 hasn't come out yet. This book was already released. The other one wasn't. So they said, what the hell? Let's release this one, which is great. Because we still get a really great thing here. Great story with Kate Bishop. I really like her. I really like this story of hers. It's got kind of a fun, lightheartedness to it in places, and then it has these moments that are, you know, relatively chilling. I mean, really, kind of, you know, almost disturbing things happen in it also. You know, there's some great stuff in here. You know, lines that have to do with the Beatles and the Monkees, or I think that Matt Fraction is playing with some of that stuff, which I think is really fun. I've referred this as being both this and the Clinton version of Hawkeye. This way this is written as kind of a Rockford Files kind of a thing. Of course, most of you aren't going to know what Rockford Files are, so if you get bored, you know, look it up on the internet or something. Old show back from the 70s probably. But yeah, was kind of that same sort of a thing, kind of a private eye, not quite down on his luck, relatively easyggoing, lots of bad things happen, gets beat up and rolled a lot, but at the end of the day, he's got a heart of gold and generally solves whatever the problem is. Just really enjoyed it. Great book. Love to see more of Kate Bishop. She could probably hold her own book. Another Marvel book, New Invaders. Issue number 1, James Robinson writing it, and Steve Pugh doing the artwork. Artwork was okay. I had no conception of what the book was going to be about. I mean, I know there was invaders back in the day that fought World War II, and so that cast of characters interests me: Submariner, Captain America, Bucky, and the original Human Torch, who is an android. Cool, I thought. This will be interesting. James Robinson's written some good stuff in the past. Pretty excited to pick this up. You know, some of these new Marvel books on board. Let's go. Going to be fun. And I really did not like this at all. Of course, because I buy my books 2 months in advance, I'm committed for 3 issues at this point. But I know I won't be putting on my pull list anymore just by the first issue. I don't need to give it 3 issues or 4 issues. I did not like it enough that I don't plan on, and unless the issues I've already committed to, I get one of those and it's suddenly phenomenal, then I'll scramble to try and get the ones I'm missing to get back on it if that's the case. But I just don't see that. And this is why. To me, the dialogue feels way too old school, way too... that. If you've read Silver Age books and early Bronze Age books, they have a corniness to them that I'm just not a real big fan of. I mean, I enjoy Silver Age books for being Silver Age books and what that represents, but in a modern age book, I think everything is so much more smarter and savvy that you could pay homage to that stuff that happened in the past and still have a savvy, smart book. And this didn't feel that way. There's a kind of a remembering dream sequence, and I was okay with the dialogue being corny then because it's set back in World War II. I mean, they even kind of play with that where the characters are like going, "Wow, I really talked like that back then," which is fine. But the dialogue still felt clunky, corny, and kind of goofy, even in the current mainstream stuff. And so I just really didn't enjoy it. It's definitely not for me. So gave it a try, but no, I will not be getting that. You'll probably hear me review the next couple issues, but it's going to be off my pull list. Next up is Forever Evil's tie-in Justice League, which mostly has to do with Cyborg getting a new body, a slimmer, trimmer Cyborg, which is cool. I'm okay with that. That's fine. Looking forward to seeing what Cyborg is going to be going forward. The part that really excites me about this book, and I'll tell you right now, it's straight up, it's just me, fanboy. I'm a huge Doom Patrol fan. I'm 3 issues short of literally having all the Doom Patrol issues, every volume from the ones that started in 1960s, clear up to through Grant Morrison, clear into the incarnation that was going right before the New 52. So I am very, very close to them all. So I'm serious about my Doom Patrol. And Doom Patrol's in this. Maybe some not great writing as far as the Doom Patrol they show us and the results of what happens to that Doom Patrol, because they all get slaughtered, basically. But there's one page in here that just screams Doom Patrol to me and captures Chief very well. It's one page. You get a close-up of his face. You get a shot of like his mad scientist room, lab, wherever it is that he is. And then you get him saying, well, guess I'll have to start over again. Not concerned about the Doom Patrol people who had just been killed, but pondering what he's going to create next. And him looking at a brain in a jar. Man, I'm all over that. I really, really, really hope now that really means there's going to be a Doom Patrol book come May. And I hope they have some rock stars on it, I could probably have a long conversation about people who I would be excited to see on that book. So I'm excited for that. So that made this book for me. Regardless of what else happened in it, there's some other marginally interesting things in there. Like I said, the cyborg stuff's kind of cool. The new cyborg will be neat. It still feels like large portions of these books are just kind of spinning their wheels, waiting to get down to the final issue, so everything can just go BAM and happen in those last issues of each of these books, the Justice League books and the Freddy Buell books. So that part's not so much, but the Doom Patrol part, pretty exciting. Okay, Marvel Knights, X-Men, issue number 3 of 5. Whereas I was kind of, how about this book? I'm really digging it now because it's now gone kind of bugwampy and ape. You've got all these memories and stuff that have been created and are real, going bizarre. So you've got Sentinels and every other kind of bad guy and monster storming all over this town. All the X-Men are trying to fight them. Wolverine's trying to kill another mutant, a young girl he thinks is responsible for all this crazy crap, and he thinks is responsible for killing other mutants. We find out there's like these people who are manufacturing this drug. We know the drug's been around because it's kind of been hinted at in the last 2 issues. They're kind of like this kind of crazy tomorrow cult kind of thing. They've basically been freebasing either mutants' sweat or something, or I'm not 100% sure they aren't literally killing mutants, grinding them up and injecting themselves or snorting it or popping it or dripping it in their eyes to make themselves the next generation of human, the tomorrow human that's going to be able to handle all the stuff that's coming, handle the apocalypse, and they're rolling down out of the mountains to attack the town with all the crazy crap that's going on too. They're going to take care of the X-Men and all the other craziness stuff. So everything's just gone totally aping it, and man, it's gotten really cool and fun. Really digging it. Really digging the Marvel Knights. These kind of alternative spin books. To me, it's just fun to see this kind of just strange, what kind of weird thing are they going to pull out. So, been lots of fun. The idea that that potentially somebody's out there grinding up mutants and putting them in people's pills so their pills are better for them. I don't know. Pretty cool. Pretty crazy. Supergirl, issue number 27. We dealing more with the new Lobo. And the consequences of trying to dissect him. Of course, he heals. We learn more about this place that's in the center of the earth. We get a seriously pissed off Supergirl at the end of this. I still feel like we're kind of spinning circles waiting for new stuff to happen. I am liking Tony Bedard. He's the newer writer on the book. I am liking what feels like his writing style and where he's going with the book. So I'm going to hang out. I'm going to ride it out and see what goes on with the Red Lantern, because she's going to become a Red Lantern, so I'm curious to see that whole storyline, what that's going to be like. So that could be pretty exciting and pretty cool too. So yeah, going to be digging that. But this wasn't a bad issue. But I just know it feels like there's bigger things coming. So yeah. And finally, for my caped books, Wonder Woman, issue number 27. Man, I don't know. I don't think books get a lot better than Wonder Woman. This incredibly solid story of the retelling of the Greek and Roman gods, and this, some of the stuff holds so true to that. The way Apollo's acting, him harassing the firstborn, the craziness that's going to go on there. Zola's got herself wandered off and hooked up with Dionysus. She has a really bizarre truffle hunting experience, which was quite crazy and quite strange and cool. One of my favorite parts in this book, though, is at one point, Wonder Woman has been gone. She went back to Paradise Island and is just kind of trying to get her head on, trying to figure out what she's going to do, how she's going to track down Zola and her baby Zeke, figure that whole thing out. How she's going to get her friends back, in close to her, because she wants to be this kind of motherly figure protecting her friends. She goes back to her home base in London, and the only person that's there is Hera. Hera's been left by herself. Spite has left. Everyone's left her, and Hera is freaking out. It's her first time she's been really left alone, and she's human, and she's fragile, and she feels age, and she feels all of that stuff. All that stuff that just didn't matter. All that stuff that she used to relish being alone when she was on Mount Olympus. Now it terrifies her, because then she has those moments to think of everything that she has lost and everything she isn't anymore. And in a matter of a few panels and a few words, you get that whole feeling. And just, to me, it really sinks in. It's like, ooh, that is cool. That is a neat piece of little storytelling amongst the big plot machine that's going on. And that's what makes some comics stand out and are really good in comparison to other comics. Whereas some other comics tell a fine, just straightforward story. It's these little magic moments that make some of these books so much better than everything else. Excellent, excellent read. I would say I don't know there's really realistically a decent jumping on point. If you've been missing Wonder Woman, you damn well better be reading the trades, because it is excellent. Excellent, excellent. And that is it for my superhero books. Thanks for watching.